Hi, it's Penny Black and Jill Foster here for your next PB&J card class. Today I'll be featuring one of my favorite stamps from our new collection called Sunshine. And here's a look at that wood block stamp. I'll also be using two of our background stamps, as well as Spellbinder's Nestabilities Labels 14. Here's a look at the card we'll be creating today. And this card features a fun layering technique using the Spellbinder's dies. And here's a close-up of that finished product using that technique. To begin, I've wiped a piece of white cardstock with an anti-static bag, and I'm inking Penny Black Sunshine with Sukaneko VersaFine ink in the color of black. And I'm just stamping that down. This is a prototype stamp. This is actually a woodblock stamp when you purchase it. I'm sprinkling that with clear embossing powder, and then I'll heat to set. And I'm going to repeat that 2 more times, so I'll have a total of 3 images. So here are the 2 images we'll be using to create that layered look with the Spellbinder's dies. So I wanted to show you here the sizes that I'm using. I'm using the 3 Nestability dies. This is from Spellbinders. It's Labels 14. And I have a large, a medium, and a small picked out. And to begin with, I'm using the largest and the smallest of those 3 dies that I picked out. And I'm going to lay these over my stamped image ridge side down. That's the cutting part of the die. And you can just, because you can see through these dies, you can place them exactly where you would like them. And then I'm just using a piece of tape that easily peels up when I'm done to hold that in place. So I put that tape on and I leave it all the way until I've run it through my machine. Now this is the smallest of the 3 dies that I picked out, and I'm just lining it up here so that it's centered inside of that large die, and I'll tape this one as well. Now I'm going to take this just as it is and run it through my die cutting machine. And when I'm done, this is what it looks like. This has already been run through the die, so I'm just peeling up that center smallest piece, taking off of the tape, but I don't want to pop that paper out of the die just quite yet. I want to apply my ink next. So I'm using Antique Linen Distress Ink with the foam applicator pan, starting off of the edge and working my way right over that metal ridge or that metal die onto the paper. And now this die is acting as a stencil because when I pop that out, I'll have a nice crisp white border around the outer part that was cut. And you can see that especially along the bottom on that piece. I'll set that aside. Now I'll take this larger piece, carefully peeling off the tape, keeping the paper inside the die. And I'm ready now to apply my distress ink. So again, starting off of the edge and working my way on, keeping the paper inside of the die. I'm just evening out that color around the edges, and now I can pop that out. And I'll set that to the side. Now here again are the 3 sizes that I chose, and I'm just showing you here that I'm taking the medium die. Here's our second image that was stamped and embossed. I'm using that smallest piece that I already die cut and inked just as a guide on where to place my medium die. So I'm placing the smaller piece over the image, lining it up, and then I'll use just a little piece of tape So what's great is to create this layered 3 layers, you really only need to stamp and emboss your image 2 times to do all of your die cutting. And here I'm just lining it up, and then I'll lay that tape once I have it exactly where I want it. And I'll get a little piece here on the bottom. And then before I go take that to the die cutting machine, I just took out that middle piece. Now I ran that through the die cutting machine. I'm peeling up the tape. And I'm being very careful as I do that because I don't want the paper to come out of the die. It just makes it a lot easier to apply the ink if you don't take it out and have to go back and try and line it up. So here I've removed that. And again, I'm taking antique linen distress ink, starting off of the edge and working my way on in a circular motion. I chose antique linen so that when I went to color this, the background inked color was light enough that I could just color right over the top of it. So if I get that on the flower or the leaves, it doesn't matter. I can just color right over the top. And I can pop that piece out. So here you can see we've cut the 3 pieces that we need to create our fun layers. So there's the largest, the medium, and the smallest. Now I did mention at the beginning that I did stamp and emboss the image 3 times. And the reason is that I do want to be able to cut out the leaves on this 3rd image so that they extend beyond the largest die cut piece. So I'm coloring these using Stampers Big Brush markers. And I'm cutting them out so I'm not worried about staying in the lines. I started with my lightest color. Now I'm layering on my darker color. And I will go back and blend that using the lightest color. This is the same procedure I used to color the flowers on the die cut pieces, and I'll list the numbers of the colors used at the end of the video. Now that those are colored, I'll cut those out and set them off to the side. So I've finished coloring all 3 of my die cut pieces. And you can see here, because just the tips on this flower will be showing. I didn't do any shading, so you don't have to shade everything, just what will show. And then to accent that edge from the inking with the Spellbinders die, I'm taking a Faber-Castell Art Grip colored pencil, and I'm just very lightly coloring along that edge. And I like just how that sort of defines that even more. And I'll continue to do that on all 3 die cut pieces. Now we're ready to begin assembling. So those are those leaves that I colored and cut out. I'm applying glossy accents, or you could use any type of glue, right on top of the leaves here on the die cut. This is the largest piece. And I'm going to lay those ones that were cut right on top. And you can see there, they just extend beyond the edge of that die cut piece. Now we're ready to begin assembling the rest of the pieces. So here on this medium-sized piece, you can see I didn't color the center of the sunflower. And the reason is that it wasn't going to show. So I just saved myself a little bit of time. Now I am putting my pop dots along the outer edge, just because that's where it will stick, because that the largest piece, has the center cut out. And I'll peel off the back. And this will be ready to be placed on top of the larger piece. You can start to see some of that dimension coming together. Now on this smaller piece, I'll put my pop dots and lay that right on top. And here's a look at that finished piece using our penny black stamps and our Spellbinders dies. Thanks so much for watching. For details and more information, visit www.pennyblackink.com. And here are the supplies used in creating this card.